So the last video I made talking about how I would write Doctor Who was pretty successful, especially considering it had nothing to do with the current era of the show, which, let's be honest, is the reason 90% of you are subscribed to this channel. But this video will work a little bit differently to that previous one. Instead of having free reign to write whatever I want, I'll instead be rewriting a previously existing work, and as the title suggests, this time I will be tackling Doctor Who Series 11. The rules of this rewrite are as follows. I have to work with everything that Chris Chibnall had to work with. Same plots, characters, and yes, unfortunately, actors. And secondly, all the main characters have to be utilised in some capacity. So I can't just remove Yaz, as much as it would bring me great pleasure to do so. So basically just imagine by some freak accident that Chris Chibnall finds my channel and rings me up. He says, hello? You think you can do better than me? Well, here you go. And hands me the keys to the TARDIS and lets me have free reign to rewrite Series 11 with all the stuff that he had. No extra budget. Right, now that we've laid down the rules, the rewrite can begin. Now the first thing I would set out to do is change the Doctor's introduction, not only to the audience but to the characters as well. So what I came up with was this. At the beginning of Woman Who Fell to Earth, we cut to the 13th Doctor in her TARDIS, which has been fully redecorated and the Doctor has already changed up her wardrobe. We have a long shot of the Doctor just standing in the TARDIS console alone. Kind of similar to that shot we had in Series 12, the trailer with all the dark blue, until she hears a beep coming from the TARDIS console. We see that it's a distress call coming from none other than the steel capital of the world, Sheffield. However, rather than immediately answer the call like any other Doctor would, we see 13 hesitate before slightly and reluctantly pulling down the lever. We then cut to Yaz investigating what appears to be strange alien markings, when one of her colleagues goes over to investigate them and makes the fatal mistake of touching them, therefore summoning the Sontaran dentist, aka Tim Shaw, who immediately kills the unnamed police officer, showing that he really does mean business. We then see Yaz try and fend off Tim Shaw, but fails miserably, which leads to her fleeing the crime scene. We then get the bike scene, which is basically exactly the same as the one we got in real life, with the only major difference being that the TARDIS will materialise atop the mountain. Now you would think that 4 strangers seeing a giant blue box appear out of fucking thin air would be pretty shocking to your average Sheffield nuclear family, but nope, instead we hear Grace shocked, quietly muttering, "Oh my god, it's the Doctor," or something similar, while Graham and Ryan both nod. Now you may be saying, wait Tharies, you buffoon, how the hell do 3 normies know 2 Hearts McGee over there? How? Well, you see, my intrepid nerd, it will be revealed through various flashbacks that Grace, much like Amy before her, met the newly fried Doctor when she was a child. Unlike Amy, however, Grace actually went on an adventure with the Doctor, making her poetic name the girl who didn't really have to wait, really. Anyways, it will be revealed that due to the Doctor's carelessness and being within the first 48 hours of regeneration, therefore making her very reckless, she and Grace crash land on a Stenza ship, and naturally the Stenza are not happy about this, as the Doctor has just basically shoved her hand into a wasp's nest. One of the Stenzas, named Tim Shaw, is so annoyed by this that he starts wildly shooting at the pair, causing massive damage to the Stenza ship. The Doctor manages to return to the TARDIS while Grace is lagging behind, and gets caught in one of the ship's explosions. She narrowly survives the encounter but is severely injured, to the extent that it would take years for her to recover, while the Stenza warriors perish, all except one, who manages to flee to a nearby teleport pod, which sends him back to the Stenza homeworld. Naturally, the Doctor feels extremely guilty about what happened to Grace, and tries everything to stop it from happening again. This will create a series-long arc for 13, where she has to realise that no matter how hard she tries, she can't save everyone. So this will basically be 13's Time War event, but on a much smaller scale, that makes her feel incredibly guilty. This also makes Tim Shaw's eventual return to Earth a lot more understandable, as rather than going after a rando crane driver dude, he's after the Doctor, and he's out for blood, seeing as she basically caused the extinction of most of the Stenza people, creating a nice sort of parallel between the Doctor and Tim Shaw, as both lost their species. Once again, Grace gets caught in the action, despite the Doctor's best efforts to keep her out of it, but this time Grace isn't so lucky, showing that sometimes, no matter how hard the Doctor tries, people can still die. and can't just magically be resurrected because, you know, time travel and shit. God, I hate how Ben. That aside, now that the opening episode doesn't have to focus on superficial stuff like the new sonic screwdriver and costume, we can instead focus our attention on developing the characters, in particular Yaz, as to be honest, I kind of feel like the Graham and Ryan arc is fine. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's one of the few things in Series 11 that I liked. Well, that and I guess the TARDIS exterior, although to be fair, if you can't design a decent blue box, how do you even find work? As for the other characters, the purpose Yaz would serve in my version of Series 11 would be similar to the Brigadier in early John Pertwee and Tom Baker stories. While not being a full-time companion, she would kind of be the brawn to the Doctor's brain, frequently resorting to more violent options rather than the Doctor's more pacifistic approach. This would allow for some interesting conflict between the two characters, whereas in Series 11, the companions just kind of acted as the Doctor's mindless servants, bending to her every will without a second thought. And while that does keep the tone light and breezy, it doesn't create very many opportunities to have these characters bounce off each other, in my opinion. As for the changes I would make to Ryan and Graham would be a lot more skeptical of the Doctor, seeing as on her first adventure with Grace, she severely injured her, and on her second adventure with Grace, she got her killed. It would make sense for Graham to be a more reluctant traveller, frequently questioning the Doctor's decisions and suggesting other ideas. This would allow for a more balanced Doctor and companion dynamic, as in most iterations of Doctor Who, granted there are some exceptions, the companion is often not quite as intelligent as the Doctor, however is certainly no slouch in that department either, and therefore can come up with some solutions which the Doctor can't sometimes see, meaning that unlike in Series 11 that we got, the Doctor's word wouldn't be gospel. There would be disagreements and other suggestions, coming particularly from Graham, who doesn't really trust the Doctor. And finally, Ryan's purpose in my version of Series 11 is to be the everyman of the group, as he is the one who's caught in the disagreements between the Doctor and Graham, and has, in my opinion, the most relatable backstory, as he's a guy just trying to find his place in the world. Meanwhile, his dyspraxia would come up a lot more regularly, as well as from my experience, I can tell you that disabilities don't just appear and disappear when the day finishes. I would also have him vlog some TARDIS footage which Tim Shaw would use in order to track down the trio in the finale. Now I'm not going to go over every episode and how I would rewrite it because that would be quite boring, and this script is already quite long, so what I might do is make a part 2 to this video if you guys want to see more of my ideas. This is just a basic series outline where basically we set up the arcs for the characters. Obviously Yaz becomes less militant and more open to more pacifistic options. The Doctor realizes that she can't save everyone and she just needs to try her best rather than feel guilty for all of the things that she's done wrong. And obviously Ryan and Graham have a very similar arc about moving on from the death of Grace, while Graham also has to realize that it wasn't the Doctor's fault for what happened to Grace, and that revenge and bitterness isn't like the best solution. So yeah, as I said, I might make a part 2 to this video if this video does well, and let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a comment and subscribe, and in the description below are links to my Twitter and Facebook groups, as well as my Discord server. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you. Have you been craving some high quality merch that doesn't have She Who Shall Not Be Named on the cover? Are you struggling to get a gift for a family member or relative after they seem to have everything after Christmas? Well, fear not, as I have the perfect solution. Introducing Thary's merch! Not only is this merch high quality and affordable, but if you purchase it you'd also be helping me, which means a lot. But I didn't stop at just shirts, oh no. On the Thary's merch store you can get notepads, hoodies, mugs and more. Just visit the link in the description below and on screen now. Because hey, every penny you spend in the Thary's merch store is a penny that the BBC won't see. And I think that that's something we should all be proud of.
Oh, look down there, you got a little shop. I like a little shop.
Never mind that.